Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, July 8th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, I am feeling sort of neutral to bullish today, looking for either sideways moves or higher, and I will explain why. As we've been talking about so much recently, we were in a 3-day balance area down here. And then we broke out of that balance, which led to excess to the upside. So we now have 2 days of excess, and we measure that by the fact that we made higher highs and higher lows on the daily, and we also moved the value area higher, right? So this is the value area for the last 3 days. It's been moving higher. That is a trend to the upside on the daily and excess, which is, of course, what we expect when we break out of balance, okay? So the question today is, are we going to get continuation of that excess to the upside? Are we going to get another day where the market goes higher? Or are we ready for some balance? Was this enough excess to get us some balance? So first and foremost, let's look at the way the day ended yesterday. We ended with a lot of momentum to the upside. We didn't actually close inside the spike, which would have been the official bullish signal, but closing that close to it is pretty bullish. However, the market had gotten itself way overly long, overly fast, and it needed to pull back. You can see we left behind 4-week references yesterday that were in need of repair. So the overnight did a beautiful job of that. It pulled us back down, and we're now going to open below that lowest week reference, which means right at the open, they're all repaired. Okay, so there's no more magnet pulling price down, and then we can focus on the momentum up that we've been experiencing, which is why I say I'm neutral to bullish today. I don't think the market needs a pullback. I think there's still buyers who want to push this market higher. I was looking at the NQ this morning and I realized that the NQ is pushing right up into, it literally yesterday pushed right up into where we had the 1-day balance the last time we came up here. So it would not be unreasonable to go sideways and have a balancing area in here this time around. And so that's why I think we could go sideways. But the ES to me looks pretty bullish for continuation to the upside. So we'll wait and see how it plays out. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to test how the market reacts to support and resistance. Okay, the overnight inventory is net short, so we're expecting a counter auction to the upside at the open this morning when the bell rings, but we are opening inside the previous day's range, which increases the odds of chop, of the market just grinding up and down, and also the fact that the overnight just rotated inside the previous day's range increases the odds of chop even more. So the first thing that we can watch is, do we get a counter auction to the upside? And then where do we get resistance? Are we able to push through this node from the overnight here? Are we able to push through this one? And so on and so forth. If we're able to get above 3,900 once again, and then find support above that level, that to me would be good for continuation higher. Obviously, we still have some resistance in this big cumulative node, but in terms of chop, we shouldn't be able to get above there, right? If we're just going to grind up and down, we won't find support in here. We'll just keep grinding. So if we push above and come back down and start to find support, that is good to me for continuation to the upside. And as long as it's just chopping up and down in the first hour today, I'm just going to step aside, watch the market, and wait for a better signal. Okay? So what would tell me that it's bearish? Simply getting below yesterday's low. If we get below yesterday's low, then the excess to the upside is over. And there's 2 ways to balance off excess. You can either do it, like I said, by rotating sideways, spend some time going sideways, or you can pull back down in price to test that balance area high once again, which was the beginning of the excess. So if we get below today's low, come back up and find resistance, that will be good as a short to head down and test that balance area high once again. But I think the higher probability would be just rotating sideways or continuing the excess to the upside. The non-farm payroll numbers came out. I'm not great at reading this stuff, but they were 100,000 more new jobs than expected. So one could assume that might alleviate any negative pressure that the market might be feeling, which would also be bullish. So let's see what happens. All right, the market is open. So we're looking for a counter auction to the upside, and then where do we get resistance for the chop to begin? It's also worth noting, just at the previous day's high, the day before last, we still have these low volume nodes down here. So if the chop continues and it works its way all the way down here, there's likely some buyers waiting to do business. So that should be good, strong support around 75. But as of now, we are in the chop zone, folks. It's going to grind up and down between support or resistance until it can make a decision about which direction it wants to go. If you have not yet, please smash that thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Got 154 people hanging out. Good morning to the Shaw, Daniel, Eric, Arcaleon, Mateus, Eldora, John. Corbin says, what's up? Caffeine, Philip, T-Wark, TV, Scooball, Johnny Be Good. Johnny Be Good says, oh, so the overnight auction can fix weak references? Yes, if we open below them. So, like, we had weak references, like, you know, here. Whoops. Oh, man. Whoopsies. So we had weak references like, you know, here and here and here or something like that. Let's say the overnight had pushed below, but then we opened up here. This weak reference would still be there, because we're still above it in the regular trading hours. But if we open below it, then yeah, all those weak references are repaired. Good morning, Elliot. Greetings to Rev. T-Bay in the house. J Trader. Scooball says some sell-off after data. Looks like it was just a liquidation. Brought in some stronger hand buyers. Jack, good morning to you. Arthur, good to see you. Chirp is here. Ish, good morning to you. Mark is here. Patrick, sup, yo. Rockingham, welcome back. Amity, good morning to you. MK. Trip, good morning to you. Espacio. And McStockster. We are all hanging out. Getting ready to make some money. Make that money. Boss man, good morning. Nick G, does the market know we opened up? I'm not sure what that means. Oh, slowest open? Yeah, well, it's to be expected, right? We're inside the previous day's range. The overnight inventory was completely just rotational. So we expect chop. This is what they do. They'll grind it up and down. They may do it for 45 minutes. Just keep chopping up and chopping down. While all the short-term traders who don't have any insights yet, the market hasn't given them a signal what it's going to do. They just want to take bets. They're so desperate to get into a trade. Got bad taper at the low. Not really bad, but that 8 contracts needs a little more two-sided trade down there. Boss man, perfect conditions for chopping up newbies and spitting them out. I know guys who've been trading for years that still do this. But yeah, I take your point. It's perfectly fine if you're a scalper. Just don't fall in love with the trade. Market could reverse at any second. Anywhere at any time. Tuttle, what does the minus volume suggest on the right? So it's kind of hard to read right now because we're just in the first half an hour. But this volume profile over here is for the current 30-minute time period. And the numbers that you see on the right side of it that have positive and negative, that's the delta between the bids and the asks, so the buyers versus the sellers. If there are negative numbers, there are more sellers than buyers. If there are positive, there are more buyers than sellers. So, as it's working its way up, you see the negative numbers getting bigger. You see the volume falling off. It's probably coming back down. Looking for more buyers and vice versa. It's not something, to be totally frank, I pay much attention to. I'm much more focused on the total volume. Okay, so for the NQ, same thing, opened inside the previous day's range. So we're expecting chop. They got a good low on the Q, so that could hold. Look for support around 1200 and 12020, and resistance at 12090 and 12104. If they're able to get above, I would say this node from the overnight, 12120, if they're able to get above there and find some support, that would be good for a continuation to the upside. Continuation of the excess on the daily. But until they get above there, come back down and find support, it's likely it's just going to chop. It's just going to grind up and down. Same as the ES. Johnny, if there is a low volume node within excess, does that lend more credence to the strength of the excess? Right. So excess is another term for like momentum, right? Like the market has like a force pushing it to go higher, essentially. What the low volume and the high volume nodes are doing is acting as support or resistance. So it's like the Q is a great example, actually. Let's just go over and look at the Q right now. So like I said, because we balanced in this area before, we could just have a sideways rotational day. But the fact that we're pushing away from this large cumulative node of volume increases the odds just slightly. It's not like it's a guarantee of anything, but just slightly increases the odds that the next stop is actually this big node up here looking for resistance. So that increases the odds that, yeah, we're going to get a continuation of the excess until we hit that big, strong resistance up there. And of course, the same thing is true intraday. So the momentum right now obviously is to the upside, but we got all this resistance. We got this giant node of volume over here. We got this volume, all this time from the overnight. Now the market's it's got excess, right? It's got momentum, but it's got to fight its way through that resistance first before we can trust it. And that trust comes when resistance becomes support. And not a second sooner. Chitnik, I was just making a light joke. Not in this room, you're not. No jokes allowed. We don't joke about chop here. Scooball, is there a gap in the NQ? Oh, that's another. Yeah, you reminded me of that yesterday too. So yeah, between the high from the 24th and the low from the 9th, there's still some gap that needs backfilling up there. But obviously that doesn't really come into play right now. But yeah, if we start to push up above that overnight range, come back down and find support, that's even another reason to head up to that next big node to get that gap fill. But no reason to go long now because they may spend a few hours grinding up and down before they do that. So we'll wait for that support. Boss man, you'll take your chop and you'll love it. Is it terrible for me to admit there is a small part of me that likes it when I see we're opening in the previous day's range like this? Because I know I could chill for the first few minutes of the day and just wait. I don't have to be like immediately ready to enter a trade. Like on a gap day. Some beautiful poetry here, Knob. When in the chop, sit back and have a soda pop. When it breaks, you'll be eating steaks. The Shah, I'm completely the opposite. Hate that weight so much. All right, so now we're testing this area around the opening price where we created some support earlier in the day. Can that hold now? Or do we got to head back down to that A period low and put in some more contracts? Get a little more two-sided trade there. All right, these internals are a little bit bearish. Of course, we got nothing to worry about. We got good, strong support down there at Wednesday's high, 38.75. But if that starts to break, I'll start to change my narrative a little bit. Exactly like yesterday, they're front running that low volume node. Come on, guys. Backfill. There we go. Only took 24 hours to come back down here and put some more contracts in. All right, so we're looking for support right now. All right, we're getting some support here. So the chop continues. We got good taper on the low. Remember, we needed to come in here and do some more business. So grinding around here is not bearish, but breaking lower would be. Grinding around here is just giving those buyers a chance to get in. To me, getting long now with an extremely tight stop is a pretty decent risk-reward trade. There's no way to predict the probability of whether you'll get stopped out. But if this low holds, it'll probably be the low of the day. So if you like a nice risk-reward and you're willing to jump into a trade without certainty it'll work out, it's worth considering. Cyrus, sorry I'm late. Yeah, don't let it happen again. I'm watching you. Mateus, would you be looking for a trip to the POC from here? Well, no, not because. Well, first off, there really is no POC. There's just the A period, but not because of that. I would be looking for the chop to continue because we found support exactly where I was looking for support. But whether we get through this resistance when we push back up, I do not know. That's what's tough about chop. You kind of just got to guess. You can't be certain. Rocky, how could Cyrus do this to us? Now the whole class has to pay because of his actions. Your punishment, you must push the like button. All right. right, moment of truth. If this support is going to hold, we should push those ticks back up, at least to the 0 line. If they keep trending lower, it's going to break. Looks like we don't have the buyers. So now we're going to test yesterday's low for potential support. If that breaks, things get bearish very, very quickly. Because now, like I said, we have 2 days of excess to the upside from the breakout of the balance area. So if we're not ready to get continuation of that excess to the upside, it means we need to balance, right? Excess leads to balance. And so if we're not going to do it sideways, that means we got to pull back down to test that high again. So if we break yesterday's low, I will get bearish for a push down to 38, 36. James, maybe time for a flash disclaimer. Oh, are you talking about the trade idea? I said get in it with no idea whether it's going to work out. That's on you. You also had a chance to move your stop above break even. Ruark. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Ruark. Q's low is holding. Yes, it is. Q is chopping up. I would treat the overnight low in the Q the same way I was just talking about yesterday's low in the ES. So if we break below there, you're probably expecting a larger pullback. So that would get me bearish, getting below that overnight low. But above that, chop. All right, it's bearish that we keep getting slapped down when we get to the 0 line. Chop we should be able to just grind up and down through it. slapped again. Chop, chop, chop all day long. Chop, chop, chop while I sing this song. Gonna mop the floor. Gonna make it shine. Gonna take off the spray paint with turpentine. Brian, is there a live chat room on the private stream? Yep, it's exactly the same as this stream. It's just a YouTube where you can comment like you just did. There's also a Discord where people share ideas throughout the day. Yeah, that's what I was doing, an Adam Sandler impression. Good catch. Ivan, can I tell you what the tick symbol is for TradingView? I believe it's literally just the word tick. Yeah, so it's literally just tick or tick Q for the NQ. Patrick, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Ivan, I was using tick Q and wanted to make sure it was the right one. Yeah, tick Q I would use if you trade the NQ and just regular tick if you trade the ES. It's not a perfect science, but it just tends to work out better that way. Oh, is that another Adam Sandler? Well, now I can't remember that one. I haven't listened to that since like 2000 or something. Like, Don't tempt me, Knob. Don't you dare. I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to that album so I can give you all, give you all the songs you want next week. To half the chat's horror. Johnny, do you use the Trin at all? I don't. I have it, on my internals tab for TradingView. In case the day ever came that I wanted to learn to read it. That's, of course, it has to do with the, it's basically another internal. I just have never actually really spent any time with it. Same thing with like the PCC, which is the options, the put versus call. I've never spent enough time watching it to be able to use it. But I put it on here just in case that day ever comes, so I don't forget about it. All right, looking for resistance here around the half back. And in that little node of volume just above the opening price. As the chop continues. All right. Any other requests for me to learn over the weekend from the Adam Sandler album? Jesus. All right, well, if the bulls want to win the day, they got to get through this resistance. They should be able to chop up and down inside that A period. So if this resistance holds, it's just one more check mark on the bearish side. One more little hint of what's to come. Woo, the NQ is just taking people's money. Both sides of the market, chewing them up. Percy, seems the Nasdaq is pulling the market up yet again, Tesla and Apple. Could be. Be more bullish if they break that A period high. If they can get above 12,092. That could bring in some new buyers. But right now it's still just algorithms and short-term traders making guesses and picking each other's pockets. Alex, press like. Yes, please. Got 91 likes. 179 people. Are 9 of you willing to push that thumbs up? Get me above 100? Get me them triple dig? A little triple dig to end the week. There it is. Thank you so much. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Da-dum. Da-dum. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. T-Work, music to my ears. Mateus, I can never find where the people are in the Discord. Well, Donkey convinced a bunch of them to stop posting, so there's only like 5 people posting there right now. So it'll grow. Give it time. Charles, can you explain how you take people's money on your chart, please? Can I explain how I take people's money? So essentially by having an edge, by seeing, something different than what they see. So in a moment where, for example, on the way down earlier in the A period, when everybody else would have been freaking out and panicking because we were grinding around down here, I was chilling like a villain because I knew we needed to do that, right? We needed to come back down and bring in some volume. I've been talking about it since yesterday. I've been pointing at this saying we need to come down here and bring in some volume. So that gives me an edge, an opportunity to look for a long where everybody else is feeling fear. So I'm buying their fear. Ray, I mean Nasdaq and ES? Well, then I have no idea what you're talking about. Take people's money on Nasdaq and ES? I don't trade the Nasdaq, so they can keep their money. Oren, I'm too drunk to trade today. Started the weekend real early. But thank you. All right, so once again, we're looking for resistance up in here around the A period high. If they break above the A period high here on the ES, that would be bullish. And then we'd be looking for the market to come back down and find some support, which would be bullish for continuation to the upside. If they push up and they get resistance and pull right back down, then the chop is still going. And the market hasn't made up its mind yet. Same exact thing on the NQ. It's getting a little bullish. Can they push above 103 and come back down and find some support? As Jim Dalton would say, sometimes a market has to break before it can rally. They had to bring it down and give those strong hand buyers that wanted to do business down here their chance to get in. Now, the value area being overlapping to lower from yesterday is a first signal that perhaps the trend could be coming to an end on the daily. That excess could be coming to an end. But of course, if they start to pump the market higher, they'll pull it back to overlapping above. So don't get too distracted by it this early in the morning. So there's your pump. Now we're looking for support. As soon as we get support, I get bullish. James, I don't have time to go watch a whole Metallica concert to figure out your message here. To cipher the code. Okay, so now we're testing this support. Can't tell you exactly where we're going to find it. Somewhere in this general area, which would be good for continuation higher. Around the 3,900. B period high is also weak because it is the same level as the overnight high, increasing the odds that we'll push up there and repair that. And we've also just left a set of single prints, beautifully left a set of single prints to give us support right where we want it, just like clockwork. So as far as leaving you guys today with expectations moving forward, it's unconfirmed yet because that's the bitch about chop. As long as you're still inside the previous day's range, you really don't know when they're going to flip and reverse it and start chopping again. So we have to wait for the confirmation of support before we can be confident. But this does feel bullish to me as a continuation of the excess to the upside. The first confirmation would be finding support or getting above the B period high and getting continuation up there, as that is the beginning of a trend to the upside. And it looks like we're going to get it right now. So with that, I bid you all farewell. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend. If you got nothing going on, think about taking that e-course. I know it's expensive. It costs $100, but If you take the e-course, it'll give you so much more insight to understand what I'm talking about during these live streams. So it doesn't all just sound like nonsense. It all clicks and makes sense. So consider checking that out this weekend. And I will see you all here on Monday morning. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. The market is now officially trending higher, which is bullish.